down to the station that night, you actually got a chance to speak with her for, as you said, 5 minutes.
Yes, I did.
And while you were speaking with Miss Dawson, she didn't seem that drunk to you.
No, she didn't. I mean, she was a little upset about being there, but she appeared to be doing pretty well.
You've conducted hundreds of these tests over your career.
Yes, like I said, it's part of my job, so I do these quite frequently.
And in your original estimation, you thought Miss Dawson would be about at the legal limit.
Yes, I did. Just because of the symptoms she was exhibiting, I thought she'd be around .08, but that just goes to show that everyone reacts to alcohol differently.
As a matter of fact, you were surprised that you got results that were that high.
Yes, it was surprising.
I want to talk a little bit about why those results might have been so high. Now, Dr. Smith, you know that there are several things that might cause the Intoxilizer 8000 to register an artificially elevated reading.
Yes, that is true.
One of these things is that if the mouthpiece of the machine fails to trap excess moisture like saliva, that could cause the results to be artificially too high.
Yes, that's why it's so important to read the results as they are printed out. When the results come out on the graph, they come out like a gentle slope. If there's any residual mouth alcohol, like if it's trapped in the mouthpiece, you're going to see a huge spike in those results. All of our administrators are trained to look for this.
Dr. Smith, I'm sorry, I think perhaps my question was unclear. I wasn't asking about residual mouth alcohol, I was asking about the mouthpiece of the machine itself. If it fails to trap something as simple as saliva, that could throw the results off.
Yes, that's true. It would be trapping extra alcohol as well.
And you didn't check the mouthpiece of the device before you used it to test Ms. Dawson.
Well, I had just finished calibrating it, so I did make sure that the machine was all in order.
Well, if Ms. Dawson's breath sample were hotter or colder than average human breath by 0.2 of a degree, that could have thrown the results off and made them artificially too high.
That is true. It's extremely rare for someone to have a different temperature of an average human being. And even if it is off by something as little as that, the results don't vary very much.
Actually, Dr. Smith, the machine is only designed to tolerate differences of 0.2 of a degree.
That's right. That's why if there's any difference, that error message is going to show right up.
But, Doctor, you didn't test Ms. Dawson's breath sample to figure out what temperature it was.
No, I didn't take the temperature of her breath.
And another thing that you mentioned earlier was that if there was any residual alcohol in the subject's mouth, that could throw off the results.
That's true, yes.
And this could be caused by something as simple as heartburn.
Yeah, things like acid reflux, which do result in heartburn a lot, they can cause higher readings.
Something as simple as burping.
Yes, it's true.
And that's why it's extremely important to make sure that a subject is observed for the full 15 minutes before you administer the test.
Yes.
Now, may I approach the bench and pick up that exhibit that the prosecution just entered? Now, you were talking to us a little bit earlier about this checklist. And you actually made this checklist.
I did, yes.
And this checklist outlines everything that you have to do to ensure that you get accurate results on that breath alcohol test.
Yes, that's true.
You consider each and every one of these procedures that you wrote into this checklist vitally important to ensure that you get the proper result.
That's very true, yes.
You said that you only observed the subject for 5 minutes when he was with you. She was with you, excuse me.
Yes, that's true. Officer Foster had observed her for 20 minutes, so I decided to observe her for an additional 5 minutes just to make sure what Officer Foster told me lined up with my observations.
Well, I'm going to hand you this checklist real quick, and if you look up there at the first check mark that you have to check off that has to do with the 15-minute observation period, you actually have a blank space where you write in the name of the individual that performs that observation.
Yes, I do.
Officer Foster's name isn't on that checklist.
No, it's not.
As a matter of fact, that blank is still blank.
That's true. Since I and Officer Foster administer these tests so often, sometimes we do forget to fill out some things.
But you still signed off at the bottom of that sheet that the checklist was complete and your results are accurate.
Yes, I did, since I was the one who completed it.
May I republish the exhibit to the jury? No further questions.
we ask the witness be able to sit down.